Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us for this session today. This is part of our CSR supporters group, and these sessions that we've been hosting with fellow members have been really popular on our YouTube channel. Lots of people watching them back, lots of people taking different learnings. But I think sometimes the best learning comes from members of our own community that are doing amazing things. And Sarah James started this group up for us nearly 2 years ago, which is amazing. So thank you so much, Sarah, and has brought Monique and Bethan on board to support this group. So I know that Bethan has spent some time with our speaker, Debbie, today. So I'm going to hand over to Bethan to introduce the session today. So thank you so much for joining us, everybody. I'm going to pop myself on mute now. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, as Anu said, thank you for joining us. I am really excited to introduce Debbie today. She's an executive assistant at PwC, but is also a neurodiversity advocate. Neurodiversity is very close to my heart. I have 3 children and all 3 of them are neurodiverse, so I am really looking forward to this session. Debbie herself has been celebrated for her outstanding work in DEI at PwC, and also with the West Midlands PA Awards in 2024 and the Game Changers Awards at Manchester PA Networks in 2024. Well done, Debbie. So Debbie designed this neurodiversity toolkit for the executive support community at PwC, and it's really to support people that are neurodivergent, the stakeholders or colleagues, but also think that you may be neurodivergent yourself. We're quite lucky in the UK that we don't need a piece of paper to be able to get support from work. We're able to suspect and not wait the long times on the NHS to be able to ask for some support at work. So I'll stop talking now and let Debbie talk. I've had a sneak preview and I'm really excited with the information that she's got to share with us. So without further ado, over to the wonderful Debbie.
Oh, thank you for that fabulous introduction and for inviting me today to talk about neurodiversity. Before I start, does anyone know what neurodiversity means? Would anyone like a guess? Or okay, so the definition really is around how the brain works and how different people's brains work differently. So a bit like height or eye colour, everybody's different, and everybody in a work environment brings that a little bit differently. I had never heard of the term neurodiversity before I started at PwC, but I started working for a partner who was dyslexic and really learned a lot from her. And she got me involved in our PwC Neurodiversity Steering Committee. First, I was just taking notes and action points, but I noticed that I was learning so much and really could support her just by applying what I was picking up, and thought, actually, I could write down some of this and share it with other people who perhaps support neurodivergent stakeholders, or perhaps it would point people in the right direction of the raft of support that's available. But in a big organisation, it's not always easy to know where you can access support. So I designed the Neurodiversity Toolkit specifically for executive support for PAs, because let's face it, we don't have a lot that's aimed especially at our audience. So I'll just share it if that's okay. Can everybody see that all right? Brilliant. That's a good start. Okay, so the agenda for today is, it's very informal, so any questions you've got, there's plenty of time at the end, so do feel free to ask and I'll try my best. We're going to start with just looking at the different neurodivergent conditions, then have a think about how better we can work together. And then I'll just share some experiences of the help that I've had available at my company for people. And I appreciate not everybody works for a big organisation with deep pockets, but you might get some ideas of things you could try in your organisation. So just to start us off, the recent research seems to indicate that about 15 to 20% of people are thought to be neurodivergent. And that really surprised me, because I work in a team of 10, and to think, well, there could be 2 people, that's quite a large statistic, really. And each neurodivergent person is different. So somebody said to me, once you've met one person with ADHD, you've not met them all. So it's really important to treat everybody as an individual, very open, and just really have a two-way dialogue about what works for them. And then just to sort of bring that to life, I don't know if you can see the diagram okay, but we've got this gentleman sitting at his desk and he's trying his hardest, and he wants to make the process as fair as he can. So he said, right, everyone can climb this tree. And of course, the monkey's going to love it, the bird's going to love it, but he's not thought that actually the goldfish doesn't stand a chance, the elephant doesn't. So I think what I'm trying to say with this is that just if you're organising an event or an activity, have a think about what everybody would be able to participate in, and whether you could, by trying to be fair, actually inadvertently exclude somebody. So just a way of sort of looking at things a bit differently. If you're doing an activity for a large group of people and you know someone who's neurodivergent, consult with them if they're happy with that and say, does this work? What do you think? And give people options, just to make sure everybody's feeling comfortable. And this is the neurodivergent umbrella, and it's just a way of showing some of the different conditions. Some of them you might have heard of, some of them you might not have done. So everyone's probably heard of dyslexia, which is the one around reading. Then ADHD, Tourette's syndrome, acquired brain injuries. Obviously that can have a huge impact on how brains work and how people process information. Mental ill health, autism, dyspraxia, you might not have heard of, that's the one around movement. And then dyscalculia, which is the one around numbers. So people with that condition may find it very difficult to sort of process information with numbers, or if they were, say, working behind a bar, adding up numbers quickly would be very, very difficult. And then the way I see neurodiversity is it's invisible. So if you want to help somebody and they've got a broken leg, it's very easy to say, oh, what do you need me to do? Can I fetch you your lunch? Can I fetch you a drink? Do you want me to just photocopy for you? It's very easy to sort of offer support, whereas it's such an invisible condition. And there's some people on here that you might realise are neurodivergent, or you might not. They've all done fantastically well. And in the next slide, we'll talk about some of the fantastic ways people who are neurodivergent can really add value to a team. And you can see it just hasn't held any of these people back at all. So this slide really talks about the strengths and what I call superpowers of people who are neurodivergent. So one thing I really struggle with is creativity. When I put this presentation together, I just had reams of notes that I'd taken. I interviewed lots of people from the Neurodiversity Steering Committee at PwC, talked to them about the different conditions, but it was all looking very bland and not engaging. And I asked people who were neurodivergent to help me make it more creative and interesting, and their creativity is just off the scale. So you can often find people with the different conditions really could add value to a team in a way that you probably wouldn't have imagined. So it's all about working with these different skills, just like neurotypical people have different skills and experience to bring. And you can really harness that, and they can bring such a variety of skills to a team in ways that you probably might not have thought of at all. Also, some people with some conditions have hyperfocus, so they can get a huge amount of work done if it's a subject that's of real sort of interest to them. I work with a partner who's neurodivergent, and she's very popular for proposals because she can really be creative and very, very focused on that work. So it's all about just making the most of people's strengths, I think. And then these are just some tips that I got from working with people with different neurodivergent conditions. I feel as a PA, we're in quite a unique position to really help people and gatekeep and make their lives a lot easier. The first thing I'd really always do is just have an open conversation. How can I help? What would make things easier for you? And very much let them lead it. But I've just noted just a few things that you can suggest if you have anyone with the particular conditions. As I say, I work with a partner who's dyslexic, and one of the worst things I could let happen to her is her go to a meeting without an agenda, and then someone puts an agenda up for her to read. For someone with dyslexia, that would put them under a lot of pressure. So being super organised, asking in advance of meetings for agendas, it sounds really quite basic, but it's so important, because the last thing you want is someone to get to a meeting and feel at a disadvantage. Things like I offer to help with proofreading. So even if I don't understand the content, 9 times out of 10, I don't, I can say, oh, you need, this word's not quite spelt right, how about this? And that can be a massive help to somebody, just knowing they've got you to proofread it, and they can just pop everything down and you'll amend it and make it look professional. It's all about focus as well with dyslexia. So I chatted to the partner I support, and she said, well, really, I find when I'm doing my reviewing, my eyes are fresh in the morning. That's the best time for me. So I tend to put her review time in 8 till 10 every morning, and I gatekeep that like a demon. Nobody is getting in her diary during that time. So occasionally, if we have something like a call that needs to go in with the Far East, where you need to schedule it about 9 AM, perhaps. But if I can, I gatekeep that and keep that for her, because again, she's at her best. She can work best. No distractions, no interruptions, and it's just about keeping an eye on that. And I found that if I've ever said to someone, you've sent an invite for then, it's clashing with review time, she really needs that, can we just smidge it down to the afternoon? They're fine. And the lady I support is very open about saying, oh, she's dyslexic, so this is easier for her. And everyone's always been so understanding about it. So I find if you're just quite open, everyone gets it and the reason you're doing it. And again, it's just about really sort of gatekeeping, diary management, keeping to boundaries, just to keep focused. And another thing is making sure that you're keeping them aware of deadlines as well, just to keep everybody on track. And then I didn't really understand what being dyslexic was like. So when I saw this slide, I don't expect anyone to read it, but I thought dyslexia presented as sort of like Chinese style language writing or hieroglyphics. And I thought once you got it, a bit like learning a language, you were away. but it's not. It's looks really jumbled, and there's quite a temptation to make up words because you can't read them properly. So this slide is just really to show you how some text can look to someone with dyslexia and how difficult it can be. And then we have a gentleman with Tourette's, and just a bit of myth busting around Tourette's. In the media, it's often portrayed as uncontrolled swearing, but actually only about 10% of people with Tourette's actually present in that way. So often people might have maybe a facial tic or a vocal tic like grunting, and to sort of ease somebody into something, I just have that open conversation. Well, how can I ensure you're at your best if you're giving a presentation? What makes you feel comfortable? How can I support you? And just again, being proactive and taking that initiative can really help. Using our everyday flexibility, maybe to work from home before a big presentation so that you're relaxed, it's all prepared. And really setting boundaries. Again, it comes back to gatekeeping, because anxiety and tiredness can really exasperate it. So just being quite strict with the diary to help out so that they go in relaxed can really, really help. And the next one is ADHD. So we have a partner at PwC with ADHD, and I've worked not for him, but he's the disability awareness lead at PwC, so he's very supportive. And I had a chat with his PA, and she just shared with me what she does, and she made such a difference to him in terms of getting his work done to deadline. One of the things she said to me was make everything clear, concise and specific, so they know exactly what you're asking them for. Anything vague or ambiguous, and it can just completely throw somebody. A lot of it can be adapting, so just trying different methods of working. So deadlines can easily slip, because sometimes with ADHD you can tend to focus on one area and then you've missed something. So devising maybe to-do lists or a way of you helping them by making sure they're on track can be so appreciated. And also being quite streamlined with what you want to do. And this gentleman that I mentioned, he very much likes one task, then another, then another, then another. So if you put sort of 5 in an email, he might concentrate on the first one and then the rest will just fade. So just being very clear on what you want. And again, the PA acting as a real gatekeeper with the diary. And don't be afraid to challenge people if you need to rearrange the diary to help them with their deadlines. And using things like a shared work tracker, that really helps. And then we can see how far they are from deadlines and if anything's slipping. And I'm very lucky because I work for a large organisation, so there's a lot of help here that's available. When I originally put this together, it was to point people in the right direction at my organisation where they could get help. And I appreciate that not all companies have the deep pockets of my company, but it might give you some ideas here of ways that companies can support people with their neurodivergent conditions. So we have AXA private medical care, and that covers diagnosis of neurodivergent conditions. So if your company offers that, just maybe ask the question, does that cover neurodivergent conditions? Because Average wait since COVID on the NHS to be diagnosed can be 3 to 4 years, and you could have that in weeks privately. So if your company can offer that, it's absolutely fantastic. And then they can work, once you're diagnosed, with your GP with things like medication. And then we, with the Neurodiversity Steering Committee, they worked hand in hand with our Health and Safety Department. And they offered a really bespoke service where they could literally give you all the help that was needed. So things like priority desks, software like dictation software, all sorts of access tools and equipment. I had a neurotypical stakeholder who broke both her wrists. So I found that my knowledge of the dictation software really helped her, because she could just about click on the software and dictate everything. So sometimes the things that you learn about with neurodiversity, you can take it into other areas of the business and really use things like that are available. And we also have a Work Well site as well, and that has various wellbeing initiatives on there. But the one thing that I absolutely love is the Enable Me passport. We have some staff who go from team to team, client to client, and it can be a bit difficult if you're constantly presented with new people to say, well, this is me, this is how I like to work, and have that conversation over and over again. So we've introduced the Enable Me passport, and it just says any adjustments that you need, how you like to work. It's all about compromise, but it's really useful as a bit of an icebreaker and doesn't cost anything. So that's been really, really successful here. We also have peer support as well. So we have various groups for the different conditions, and people can just share their knowledge, share experiences, and talk very informally about how they're getting on. And this peer support is fantastic because there's no pressure. You're with kindred spirits, people who have often gone through what you've gone through, and they can really help. And then just a bit about everyday inclusion and making sure the workplace is inclusive, and really welcomes everybody. This slide's going to be a bit difficult for everyone to see, so I'll send a PDF of the slides to Dan after the call. This was a lady who is a PA like myself, and she is an ambassador for neurodiversity. She does fantastic work, and she heard a radio show about neurodiversity and thought, actually, a lot of this is really resonating with me. And it follows her pathway to diagnosis, and she now helps people. She's absolutely fantastic at what she does. She's a brilliant PA, and it might be something that's just interesting to see the steps she took to get diagnosed and get plenty of help. And then the last slide is about children with neurodiversity. So don't forget that the staff in your organisation may have children who are neurodivergent. So we offer a forum whereby parents and carers can get together, share experiences, and you know, it really impacts on your daily life. So to have that sort of support available, peer-to-peer, very informal, that can really help, and you can talk to people, find out what they've done, and it can be incredibly useful, and again, costs nothing to set up. So there's a few ideas. I also proudly, as a neurodiversity ally, wear my lanyard. So the sunflower is the symbol for neurodiversity. I wear mine to show solidarity and as a sort of an advocate and ally, just like I wear sometimes one for the SHINE community, which is the lesbian, gay and trans, just to show solidarity with them. So I kind of like, I'm sad I can't wear two at once, but I alternate them, again, just to show support for people. But I've noticed on LinkedIn, organisations like the airline Jet2 train their staff to notice these lanyards. So if you've got a disability, hopefully the staff at the airport might approach you, ask if you need any help. And I read about a lady with ADHD, said she finds boarding a plane really difficult. She gets overstimulated, it's an awful experience, but Jet2 boarded her first and she loved it, and it was made the flying experience so much better for her. So maybe have a think about if your company would provide these for neurodivergent staff, or you can pick them up on Amazon quite cheaply, and you can get the sort of infinities type symbol as well. You get one of those to pin on. So there's lots of ways you can either indicate you're neurodivergent or just show support like I do to people. And that's my last slide. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you so much, Debbie. I'm just going to, just for the purpose of the recording, anyone watching back this session, I'm just going to stop the recording now just so we can open up for questions. But I just wanted to personally just say a massive thank you to Debbie, and anybody watching this session back. Thank you for sharing the slides, Debbie. We'll upload those into the resources section of the portal for members to be able to access and have a look back. And I'll share, anyone who gets in contact with us, we'll share your details with them as well, just in case they want to get in touch and have a coffee or get to know you a little bit more, because we really appreciate members taking time to be able to come and share this. So thank you so much, Debbie. Really appreciate it.
Oh, it's such a pleasure, and please do share my details, because I just love to spread the word about neurodiversity, and I'm always happy to chat to anybody or point someone in the right direction.
Amazing. Thanks, Debbie. There we go.